I'll bring us on. I'll put us on Facebook, and I'll tell you how many suggestions, and then you just pick a number.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just like do 10 minutes. And at the end of, around 10 minutes in, I'll look for an out. And then that's it. I like to talk to people afterwards about like how they got into improv. And so like I know your story, but I'd like people to hear it as well.
Sure.
And then that's it, man. Whatever you want to do. If you want to do one scene real time or several scenes, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I figured the same thing. I'd go with it. If
Totally.
if the mustache suddenly disappears and you're in a different character, I'll be like, all right, we've shifted.
I'm never dropping the mustache, dude.
Never going away.
And it's so great. It just looks so real, and I don't have to grow it. I love it.
I know it tracks so well. I mean, when I looked at it, and I was like, Jay somehow grew a mustache in the last week.
It's like he grows them fast.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got all right. So we have pick a number, my friend, between 1 and 31.
Okay. I'm gonna pick 12.
Good old number 12. All right.
12.
So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this comes from our friend Betsy Baker.
Oh, cool.
And our suggestion is perfectly pruned.
Perfectly pruned.
Pruned. Well, thank you, Betsy.
Yeah, thanks, Betsy. I mean, it's done.
I mean, I just want to take a moment to just look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm proud to say I'm no longer a hoarder. Okay, it's gone. You don't have to look over your fence into my yard any longer and see tractor parts and gas cans and all that. It's done.
Doug, you've been talking for years and you finally did it. I mean, you got to be feeling a little bit of a sense of loss because it is just, you have a huge backyard. I didn't know how your backyard is at least 3 times the size of mine. It's enormous.
David, to tell you the truth, I had no clue it was this big. When it was filled up with stuff,
Yeah.
it seemed like a tiny backyard. And look at it now.
I mean, it's like dog legs right.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Honestly, I feel a weight has been lifted off of my chest. I mean, all of that stuff was just fencing me in, closing me off.
Literally. Isn't that ironic? It was in your yard. It was fencing you in. You weren't fencing it out. It was fencing you in.
Right. I was trapped. I was trapped inside.
You were trapped.
And now I'm free.
My God. And you just chucked it. See, I admire you. You just decided to just chuck it all. You didn't even recycle anything. You didn't sell anything. You just threw it in that dumpster. It's gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't recycle anything. Wow.
No, not a thing.
I was so caught up in the moment of like cleansing. I didn't really think about like doing something for the environment though. Does that make me evil or bad? Or, I mean.
Hey, Doug, can I tell you something?
Yeah, man.
I think it's all bullshit. I don't think the city recycles at all. I saw an expose where they take the garbage and the recycling to the same dump.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a relief, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
You know what they don't, they tell you not to recycle, that everyone recycles, and they say, please don't recycle. You know what that is? Pizza boxes.
Right.
Because it's got oil on it and they can't recycle it. But people recycle those pizza boxes anyway. They recycle all that stuff.
So it ends up in recycling and then they can't recycle it. So then they throw it all out.
And I think they just throw it all out anyway. I think they say they do it. Here's what I think. It's recycling is done to make us feel good. Like I'm actually doing something. But I think at the end of the day, I think the bigger thing is that you got rid of all of this, whether you recycled it or not.
Right. Yeah. Don't lose sight of that. Don't get caught up in the minutia of maybe not doing the right thing, because this is the right thing, right? I mean, look at, it's beautiful.
It's a thing.
Okay.
You
Right.
did a thing, and right or wrong, like who's to say right or wrong? You did a thing.
I mean, do you think maybe I should, I mean, I don't know, maybe I should become more environmentally aware and
Well,
I could put some solar panels in here and, recycled energy, collect energy. I got all this room now.
I mean, I feel like you want to do it.
Yeah. There's room over there for like put a turbine in here, a wind turbine, get a big
windmill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're going to go the opposite way, Doug. I feel like you're going to go from hoarder to like Ed Begley Jr. I feel like you're going to be electric car. You're going to throw your energy into something, because my mom was a hoarder and she never wanted to give up that control. That's what it was for her. She said she always wanted to, and she wanted to have things, and she was afraid. She was a child of the Depression. So she always wanted to feel like she could control something. And she was always afraid to get rid of anything. And I'm like, you don't need that stuff.
Right. Control. I mean, I guess that's why I was obsessed with it. It was that sort of like, I could control these things. These things were part of me. But man, you got me thinking about like controlling the environment, harnessing that energy.
Yeah.
That's some control.
I mean, because what is better to control than the weather?
Right. I mean, I think about it. Solar panels, a windmill. I mean, I'm controlling the sun and the wind.
All of it.
Wow.
I'll be honest with you. I got that rain bucket and I thought I'm never going to use it. It never rains. And I use that thing it collects so much water. It's unbelievable. And I was like, there's no way this is just going to be an eyesore. And it actually isn't. And my friend Jillian and her brother Mitch got me into composting. So I started to compost. I mean, to be fair, it stinks. My house completely stinks, but I feel like I'm doing something. And I'll be honest, Doug, I don't know if it helps, honestly, but it makes me feel better. And I feel like that's what's driving my decision to keep doing it. So if you want, I can hook you up with a rain bucket and some composting.
Hell yeah. I mean, I got all this room now. I mean, it's like I could put like a little composting section over there and a rain barrel.
I did not think you were going to do this. I'll be honest. I thought you were going to be one of those people like me that just says it. And you're like, no, I'm going to do it. And then it's like, I mean, you cleared this out in like 36 hours. It's gone from completely filled to completely, like, you tore everything up. You tore up the grass. You have no trees in your backyard anymore. You got rid of everything.
Everything. I mean, I went in with the mindset of everything must go. And it just, once you get, at first it starts slow. You're like, this can opener, I might use it. And I was like, nope, it's going in the dumpster. And then once you kind of get going, it just builds, it builds and builds. And then you're like, these daisies, maybe they're fine, ripping it out. We're getting everything out. And I just, And I'm looking back at that shed over there, off this, and I'm thinking that could go,
Well, I'll help you move that shed.
You want to clear it out?
I mean, I got nothing going on today.
Let's do it. Let's rip this shed down.
I'm coming over.
Come on. Careful.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're very strong.
I got you. Man.
Let's get to that shed,
That shed.
Where do you want me? I'm just gonna chuck the door.
Yeah. Just throw it. We'll put a pile out there, and they'll come and collect it.
Yeah, and do you want, Dougie? Do you want to recycle it, or should I just chuck it?
Well, no. I mean,
what do you want? Do you want to?
We're not going to. I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Because it's all going to end up in the dump anyway. I mean, maybe we should, just as a test, recycle this and see where it ends up.
See, and then we'll go down to that dump and we'll see what, okay.
Yes. Let's put all the recycling into the recycling pile. We'll recycle it, and then we'll investigate this ourselves. Me and you, we'll check it out and see whether our government is really snowballing us.
Yeah, Doug. And I got my cousin Jeff. My cousin Jeff, he works down at the dump. So I got it in. I'll get us in there. But yeah, let's put this in the recycling pile.
Great.
God, I mean, it is just this wood is ready to go anyway.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna put this. All right, yeah. Let's just put that. I started a pile right here.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, man.
It's been real lonely on the other side of that fence.
Oh man.
And so I just want to say thank you for, I've been a real jerk. I was going through a rough time with Sandra, and I just want to say thank you. Like, I feel like our relationship is being recycled right now. So thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was worried about you. You were, maybe you weren't physically barricaded in with stuff, but mentally you were, you had the shields up. You know what I mean?
I fenced myself in.
Yeah. And I mean, I was worried, but I was giving you your space, and I'm glad we're having a chance to do this because, God, we lived next to each other for what, more than 20 years.
Yeah, dude, that's 2 decades.
Yeah.
2 decades.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the last year, 18 months or whatever, it's been tough on me, because I missed our, just our hang, and it's.
Yeah, I blame, that's me. I take the fault for that.
I'm glad I'm just happy you're back. I'm just happy we got this again.
Fist bump. And bring it back. Bring one more.
Okay, here we go.
Thanks, Doug.
We did it again.
It's been too long, my friend. It's been too long.
Fun. Yeah, man.
Oh, you're so fun. You're like the king of, like no matter what, you hop on that and your attitude is very infectious. It's just such a joy playing with you.
I enjoy playing with you too. And that's the same thing. It's like, you're always super positive, whatever it is. It's like, cool. We're doing this.
I mean, it's such a great, it's so fun to explore and to go like, all right, where are we going to go with this thing? Right. And then just take, it's like, who knows where it's going to end up? That's the joy of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Super fun.
What got you into improv?
So I worked my whole life behind the camera, sort of, editing in dark editing rooms, and doing animation and, some production and stuff like that. And I directed a indie feature, and I did all this production stuff, and I was like, I really want to experience what it's like to perform, to get on the other side, to get it, out of this and get into that, just to try it. And I was like looking at acting classes and, trying to figure it out, and just, God, walk down the alley over there by 4th Street. And in
Santa Monica.
Yeah, in Santa Monica. And, there's the Westside Comedy Theater was about to start intro to improv classes, they're level 1. And I was like, yeah, improv, I'll give this a try. And it's just like within 3 classes, I was like, holy shit, I didn't really know that this was, I mean, I'd seen like groundlings and some, improv / sketch stuff, but like, you just sort of get swept up into it. And you're like, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's so much fun, and fell in love with it.
It's funny too, because the entrance to that theater you're talking about, which is Westside Comedy Theater in Santa Monica in LA, is in an alley.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it is this very busy promenade shopping street. And so you don't, the first time I went there, I was on the promenade trying to find where this theater was. I'm like, where the hell is this? And it was the first theater I'd been at. I don't know if I know any other theater where you enter in the alley behind the space. So
Yeah,
then
you literally can't get into the theater from the promenade or from the street. The only way in is from this alley. It's like the secret underground speakeasy of improv, because
which I dig. I'm like, that it should be a secret entrance in a dirty alley. Like, I'm a fan of that. And I just picture you like, I think I'm gonna, like, you're just walking the alleys of Santa Monica and you're like, I should pick an acting class. And then you see Westside there, you're like, oh, okay.
First class starting in 2 weeks. I was like, okay, it's meant to be. I just walked down this alley and I caught this sign and I was like, all right.
Who was your first teacher?
It was actually someone from the one of the founders who's no longer there. It was Bryce. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He was super helpful.
I was talking to a friend and it's like, and they said that at one point the head of the training center they were at taught a intro class, like a 1 level A class, and came back to them, and they're like an amazing level A teacher, my friend. And this guy said, oh, it's not that hard. Anybody can teach a intro class. It's like, no, it's absolutely not that way. It's the hardest gig because you're the one that brings the excitement and joy. And if you had a teacher who didn't give that to you, you would have found something else.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's like, because, and also it's like you have all these like formless people that are like, well, I sort of know what improv, and whereas like in some of the upper levels, at least you have a foundation. It's more than getting out of some bad habits, I guess, right?
And it's always like, just work better together is like the biggest note, is just like find a way to work better together as you continue. When you get into those more advanced situations, it's like, still bring the thing you do, but then don't forget at the end of the day, we're doing this together. So find a way to come together somehow.
Yeah. How's everything treating you? How are you doing through this last year?
Dude, I really only want to do virtual, honestly, because you're able to reach more people. There are people with like mobility or accessibility issues that can't go out. There are people that don't have improv near them. So they're like, what? Like, there's such a subculture of people who have never been taught by a human, but read a book and then decided to like, I'm going to start teaching this, like without having any experience. So I feel like there's an opportunity that has presented itself through the pandemic. The silver lining is like, oh, this could be a viable use. Whereas before, we always had the opportunity to do this. There's no reason we couldn't have done this years ago.
Right.
But it took that pandemic to go, well, it's this or nothing. And I think the fact that it was either virtual or don't do it at all really gave people incentive to try it and to make it work and go, all right, we got to see how this works, and started pushing it in a really cool direction that hadn't happened.
Right. Well, when it comes to making it work, I mean, you've been the king of making it work. I mean, it's like, like literally, it's like, oh, Jay is doing improv with somebody from Europe or South America, or, like all around the United States, just everywhere, you're able to like pull in like different players and with different perspectives. I think it's amazing,
Oh, thanks. And that's very kind. It's taught me different parts of the world play different things. Like in Asia, it tends to be they play more like status, because they're from a caste system. So I think status is a big part of just the culture. So when I feel like I play more status games when I'm playing with people from India or Asia. Whereas if I'm playing with like somebody from Britain, it tends to be more verbal dialogue or cues, or even more genre stuff. So the more I'm playing with people from around the world, the more I'm realizing, oh, this is more of the philosophy for this part of, not that it's only that, but it tends to take that on more.
Right. It leans one direction or the other, like, in general, of course there's different styles and stuff like that within that, but just in general, that's amazing.
How have you seen it now bleed into your work? Because your original intention was, I want to be to experience that, but how have you seen it affect what you do professionally?
Well, I mean, improv is a great tool for, I think, for anybody, because you start with that approach of like, that whole, I mean, you got the tattoo, but it's yes and, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, and honestly, as opposed to new ideas come at you in a work environment, and it starts training you, so your first instinct is like, okay, let's go with that and let's build on whatever that is. And I think it could benefit a lot of people that might otherwise be like, let's find the problem with these ideas
Totally.
first. Yeah,
Totally.
instead it's like, okay, I got it. Now, let's see where this goes, and it sort of retrains your brain, in a real subtle way. You don't know it, but then when you look back and you think about it, you're like, yeah, that's good.
I mean, think about that attitude of, before I shoot it down, how can I make that work? If we had that attitude, which was, if that was the prevailing attitude,
It's-
and then you go, there's still room to say no. If you've like, okay, we've exhausted the idea, or we've heard everyone's point of view. Let me take that into account and then make a decision. I mean, even if that were to happen and we changed it, because if you look at your life, and in work, how many times do you have to say yes with ideas you don't agree with, or things you always do, or you get fired, or you lose
right.
clients, right? Like, you have to do that. Same with relationships. You have
Sure.
to say yes.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And so it helps it helps train you for that too, I guess, right?
I mean, trust me, I was I've been divorced, so I know that if I added a little bit more of that empathy and that concern about the other person, that would have been something that would have changed, right? Like, it bleeds into your personal life too. And the older you get, the more you start thinking the ride on this earth is not that long. Like,
Right.
you're not here long. And so, can I make it better for people around me? Can I be
Sure.
open to ideas that I'd be scared to do? Can I do something different and follow that fear and see where it takes me?
Yeah. Well, and also it is more like that perspective of like opening up as
Mm,
opposed to closing up as you get
yeah.
older. Like I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm older than you, but as people get older, they tend to get more not politically, well, politically too, maybe,
Yeah,
but conservative. You know what I mean? They're
for
more like
sure.
shutting down anything different, or
Yes.
whatever. And I think improv also makes people kind of like, okay, that's a thing, and I'm going to accept that, or I'm going to at least look at it, in a
Yeah.
open-mindedly look at things.
My brother is one of the few, he's old, he's 7 years older than me. And my brother is one of the few people I know that has actually gotten more liberal as he got older. He was more conservative when he was younger. And I'm very proud of him, because as he's gotten older, you can see him change. And so I'm like, that's a guy that's an improviser, never taken a class, will never be on stage, but he has that attitude and that
Right.
mindset. I'm really proud of him to be like, I'm going to be open to these ideas. I'm going to try things. I'm going to not stick with what I've known and shrink it, but instead I'm going to open it up as I go.
That's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, since you are older, as we like to say, vintage, we're vintage improvisers, Jerry. That's what we are.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
have you noticed, because it tends to be a younger person's game, right? It tends to be,
Sure.
especially with like entertainment, but in improv, it tends to be like a lot of younger people. Have you noticed any sort of like pushback or anything based on just your age outside? And I'll preface this by saying, you and I, dude, get cast a lot in scenes as dads
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
grandpas and
Grandpa,
shit like
dad.
that. So
Sure.
that is one thing to be aware of, is when you cast people just based on physically how they look. But have you noticed it outside of that as well? Like, have you seen, and it's a little bit different, because I feel like Westside is more of a less competitive than other improv theaters I've been a part of.
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. West Side is fantastic for that. It sort of like, brings in,
Yeah.
has a very open,
Yeah.
yeah, metric for performers. You know, I don't know. I mean, most of my experiences within Westside, and you know, people I played with, except like you said, those sort of obvious physical things where it's like, you know, I'm going to cast you as a father, grandfather, but
Right? It's just like, I want to be the kid. I want to play the kid sometimes.
I know it's so fun. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, the other thing is though, I'm not hungry in the same way that like other performers might be, where they're trying to like, this is part of the bigger plan to like
Right.
launch an acting career or whatever. And that's not really, you know, my platform. I mean, I've auditioned for a couple of things again on Zoom, which is great, but you know, it's not like a, you know, when nobody contacts me back or it doesn't, I'm like, okay. Like, whatever.
Well, your career isn't, you know, it's not the same. Your career isn't based on
Right.
getting that audition, right? And
Right,
so,
exactly.
yeah, and there is that element of there does become like a competition at times, especially when it's like there's a limited amount of slots and people get into it and they're like, oh, I want to perform at this theater, and it's like, well, they only have a certain number of slots a week where they can perform, and so sometimes people like tense up and get really upset because they try so hard to get one of those slots, and it's like, well, maybe it's not meant to be. And then other times people reach out and say, hey, I know this isn't, I've known a lot of performers where it wasn't like this is their dream job, and then it turned into it because they're like, oh, I like doing it, but they had no desire at the beginning to do it. And I think it's the more relaxed you are, the more it shows on stage too.
Yeah, for sure. You know, for sure. It's you know, I'm sure you have, and I played with those people that their
Yeah.
outlook is like
I got 1 foot on the stage here and 1 foot on the stage at SNL. I'm already on TV land. It's like, all right, good luck. Yeah. Good luck, man. And then you just go, you know, like what I really dig about like just your personality as well is like you're somebody that's fun to hang out with off stage. And that the more you do this, dude, the more you're like, I just want to be around those people, not like the people that are hard to be. If you're easy to be with off stage, then that makes all the difference.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, we talked before. I think you started rolling, but have we spoken about your mustache at all in this video?
It's great, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Look how
It's like
fucking
amazing.
solid. Look at that. It
It's
fits
really
my
good.
face real well. I mean, yeah, don't tell anyone. um, where can people, if they want to like, you know, follow things you're doing or, you know, reach out to you or anything, like what's the best way? You're on Facebook, but
Yeah,
what's the best way for them to do that?
yeah. I mean, certainly, you know, just look up Jerry Witt on Facebook, but also, you know, it's sort of suspended, but we did our indie improv show for a number of years. We held up on it, but you know, that's all still in place. So it's it's the Rocket Science Improv Show, and it's rocketimprov.com, Rocket Improv on Instagram, or you know, rocketimprov@gmail.com for an email. So we're gonna get that going again.
Yeah. Are you have you been doing it virtually at all
We
or?
we did some. We did a few shows virtually early on in the pandemic, and you know, I think everybody just kind of went their separate ways and kind of, you know, I think it'll coalesce back together again though, you know, once live theater's back and, you know.
You know, everyone went their separate ways and tried to survive this global
Yes,
trauma.
yeah, exactly. People had to do like maybe make enough income and go and buy toilet paper and those things.
Right? By the way, side note, why is there always a run on toilet paper when there's some sort of global, when there's anything of like, there might be a flood or there's this pandemic, there's all of a sudden this run on toilet paper. I've never understood that. It's like, why is that the first thing to go?
Why is that thing? Yeah.
I gotta eat. I'm gonna grab the food first. Anyway,
Right.
that's a whole nother thing. But I think I think the Rocket Improv shows too, like they were so fun because you would get just a mix of people with different experience levels at a nice space in Westwood. It was like, to me, the perfect improv space. Didn't
Yes.
see a ton of people right on the street there. You had people coming in. It was just such a good thing that y'all kept going for a while. And then improv will be there. So whenever it's time to like go back wherever it is, improv is going to be there. So, you know, do what we can now and then get excited when it opens back up.
Yeah. Well, I hope you keep doing these 10-minute things because they're great. I mean,
Dude, thank you.
it's
Always. I'm not going to stop. We talked earlier. It's like, I'm only doing even when things subside, dude, I'm only doing virtual. I think it's so fun. I do. I'm really looking forward to continuing this. So, my friend, whether it's in person or virtual, whatever, I can't wait to play with you again. Thank you, Jerry, so much.
I look forward to it too.
Oh, good seeing you, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.